And as we said before, we are hosting FCPA Ahmed Abdullahi. He's the governor for Wajir, chair of the Council of Governors. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you. Before anything else, Janet will share the quote of the day. Wasim Geniapa, you remember? Yeah.
You fixed with us before.
Yeah. So she'll share the quote and you can say if it speaks to you.
Thanks, Mariam. Yeah. So today's quote, today being the 27th of January, it's the International Day of Commemoration in memory of the victims of the Holocaust. That's what's being commemorated today via UNESCO. So the quote is by a Holocaust survivor. And he said, "For evil to flourish, it only requires good men to do nothing." Yeah. Reflect on that with us.
Very true. Yeah. And it's been played out right, in front of us today with what's happening in a lot of places, what's happening in Gaza, the use of brute force to recolonize independent nation states, the threats of takeover of Greenland, and even closer home, you're just reading about Jonglei, not that North Sudan is not any better, right? So same things happening. Is it 100 years later or close to 100 years later?
Yeah, it's 81 years, close to 100 years later.
Yes.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
The matters that have been in the public domain and public conversation recently have been on the North Kenya.
Yeah, right.
Decades of marginalization, a specific and deliberate move through our constitution to equalize the whole of Kenya and to devolve funds and decision-making through devolution, and then sending money so that devolution then can also make people do what they need and get the services that they deserve. In addition to that, recognizing the historically marginalized areas of this country and sending more funds to those areas so that over time they would come to par, or at least close to par, with the rest of the country. Yeah. Now the conversation has been that 15 years after the Constitution, 16 years after the Constitution, are these historically marginalized places making any move, despite all the effort, all the resources that have been sent there? You are a two-term governor of Wajir. You are an accountant by profession. Right? So just answering top of since we enacted and promulgated our Constitution, have the marginalized areas received resources as they should have? And then the second bit of that is, have those resources made any impact?
I'll start with the second part of the question. Those resources have made a lot of impact, and a lot has changed on the ground. As to whether those countries have been receiving resources as they ought to, they share in the pot according to the formula. A lot will depend on how the rest of the money continues to be utilized. And I'll explain that a bit.
Please.
Yes, we have a devolved system of governance. Yes, there's a division of revenue between the national and county governments. And yes, when that revenue is divided, into two pots, one for the national and one for the counties, then the counties partake in the sharing of that resource. And there's a formula. So that's not to say the devolved money only goes to Northern Kenya. Every single county has a share. But you will reckon that the greater resources are still at the center. So much as devolution has done a lot, it's not sufficient to equalize us. It is not sufficient to equalize us. So the debate has been, how has devolved money been used in Northern Kenya counties vis-a-vis other counties?
Right. Can I
and my statement has been...
Oh, okay. Yeah. I wanted to just get a bit of context, but go on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never said we are the most developed. I said the average Northern Kenya county or former Northeastern Province county has done more with devolved funds compared to the average county in Kenya.
Okay. Just hold that thought, because
Yes.
I thought it was
And I have the
important
facts.
for people to get just some context laying why we are equalizing, why we use the word marginalization when we talk about Northeastern and those counties. Maybe just start from there. Because there's a lot of people who don't understand where we're working, where we're starting from, and then now we can get into why you think that these counties have done more with those devolved funds. But just give us context into why these counties are marginalized or considered marginalized.
I think that's quite historical, and it will take a long lecture on history and the formation of the nation state in Kenya. Because when we got independence in 1963, first of all, before independence, historians will tell you the nation state called Kenya, the boundaries kept shifting. At some point, it was all the way from Kismayu to Naivasha. And then it moved from Naivasha to where it is in Western Kenya, but it also moved from Kismayu to where our boundary is. And this is because of the horse trading there was between the colonialists, in the partitioning of Africa, and then the resultant effect of the results of the world wars and all that affected these boundaries. So when we got our independence in 1963, there were counties called the NFD, the Northern Frontier Districts. Actually, they used to be called NFD and the two contiguous districts. And that's everything from Marsabit to Lamu. Lamu and Tana River were the two contiguous districts. But Marsabit, Isiolo, Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera were called the Northern Frontier District. So these Northern Frontier District sections, together with the two contiguous districts, there was a lot of push for secession. They said, we want to be part of Somalia. And of course, opinion was divided. There was a percentage that said we want to be our own country. Another percentage that were unionists, they said, no, we want to be part of Kenya. But a majority of the people said they want to be part of
Somalia.
Pursuant to that, then broke out the Shifta War. After a referendum was done, and the British still decided, regardless of what the outcome of the referendum is, you will be part of Kenya. So there was a secession war. And that secession war then resulted in militarization of the area and emergency laws. So from the beginning, that part of the country was never really embraced. It was deemed to be problematic, but it wasn't let go. So it had to be retained by force. And then this resulted in that guerrilla warfare called the Shifta War and whatever. At the same time, when this was happening from a security and territorial integrity perspective, there was also the question of economic policy that was happening. And the initial economic policy that guided this country for a long time was what is commonly referred to as Sessional Paper number 10 of 1965.
Right.
African socialism and its, effect on planning in Kenya or something like that.
Its application.
Its
to
application,
planning.
yes, to planning in Kenya, something like that. Can't remember the exact wordings. So that Sessional Paper number 10 of 1965 then categorized the country into two areas. Areas with high potential and areas with low potential. So these NFD counties, together with a lot of other asals, other arid and semi-arid, which once receiving sufficient rainfall were deemed to be low potential areas, and a conscious decision was made from a policy perspective not to invest in them. So there was very little investment in infrastructure, health, education, water, etc. So I think this is what resulted in that marginalization, quote unquote, and it's how we did things up probably until we got to the new constitutional dispensation. But they say old habits die hard. So even after devolution and division of revenue and everything I've said, the larger part of the resources are still retained at the center. And the thinking by government bureaucracy is to still invest more in those high potential areas, quote unquote. And this is why I say devolution will do its bit. It probably has done its bit, but it's not sufficient to equalize us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is context, and you've done very well to put that context in, that this is where we are coming from as a country, collectively, and this is where we are.
Yeah.
Now the question also comes into yes, there has been many years and decades, like we said, decades of that marginalization, not proper investment going into these areas, all right? But here is a deliberate and legal mechanism that has been put in place to actually start putting resources into these areas. Resources that were hitherto not going there, even from national or local level. So now, over $1 trillion shillings, he said, has been taken directly to the northeastern counties, not even going to the northern frontier district, but just the 3 counties of the former northeastern province: Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, right? That money, is there any visible change on the ground on where the money has gone?
I don't know how that figure of $1 trillion was arrived at.
How much is it?
The figure that was being thrown around was something like, is it 90-something billion for Wajir, and probably around the same 80-something for Garissa, and Mandera gets slightly more because of the formula with respect to devolved funds and then the CDF. But it's nowhere near $1 trillion shillings. I don't know how the numbers were arrived at, because if you do even an average of 100 times 3 for the 3 counties, that's 300 billion. It can be that they get more in CDF per year, or whatever number. This money has changed a lot. Why do we say that? At the beginning, we had, of course, a lot of disadvantage in that we were starting from a much lower base. We still have that disadvantage. But we had a slight advantage from a cost structure. What do I mean? We inherited nothing. Just a few workers of the county council, a few health workers, a few workers in water, a few workers in livestock. So these places were underserviced, right? So what did we do? We started putting up dispensaries and health facilities and ECD classrooms and drilling water wells and even offices. In the first, I think, 2 or 3 years almost, I operated from a hotel because there was no
office.
The only office there was the little county council office, which was taken over by the assembly. And there was a small county council hall, which became the debating chamber for the assembly.
Which year was this?
In 2013. Because we had a single county council in Wajir. In many places, they had multiple town administrations, multiple municipalities, and there are many governors who just walked into the mayor's office. Right? So, and then as you even get out of the county headquarters in the periphery, there's nothing. So from putting up offices to, health centers and everything, and then when you put up those dispensaries, you've got to employ people to run those places. So in that sense, over time, we quickly, started having facilities. And this is why if you look at the website of the Kenya, it's KMPDC, it's called Kenya Medical
Practitioners
and Dentists Council.
You look at the number of registered and licensed hospitals across these counties today. Wajir, the last we had was, I don't even think, 174 registered and licensed health facilities. And each of those now has to be manned. You have to employ people. So over the years then, your cost base starts looking like the cost base of the other counties because they already had hospitals. They already had healthcare workers. ECD was one other area. We literally started from scratch. You can say there were absolutely no nursery schools, literally. I didn't go to a nursery school. right?
Straight to primary.
Straight to primary. And you'll go to stand 1, and whether you'll be admitted or not would be whether you're able to touch your ear from the other.
Yep.
Using your hand from the other
Right.
side. But now we have close to 400 ECD centers which have admitted kids. We're building ECD classrooms. In a sense, with respect to those functions that have been devolved and transferred, we're looking much like the rest of the country.
The other counties.
Right.
Okay.
But we're also dealing with a situation of general hardship. This debate didn't start in good faith. This last one,
Okay.
it didn't start in good faith. It started from a talk in a church by Gachagua, where he made allegations about a certain businessman in Italy, and he said, it's got to do with import of rice, and this guy is messing up the rice industry, and that he's using money from Minnesota to put up malls. And then the political leadership came to his defense and said, no, you're unfairly attacking one of us, right? One of us. So, and then now, to get back at that, group of leaders who made those comments, he started this narrative. And then all of a sudden, of course, people in social media, bloggers and the call word collectivists or whatever, started posting pictures of kids under trees and what. You don't know which date, you don't know where, right? And then this conversation, all of a sudden, he's now become a paragon of virtue, right? So, but reality is, with respect to those functions, a lot has changed. I'll give you very basic examples, because I might have a bird's eye view of the whole region, but I have a worm's eye view of mine. I know what happens in mine. And it's not to say we have no problems. We have problems, but I'll give examples. We used to run 82 water wells in 2013. That's what I inherited. Today we have 401.
What's a water well?
Boreholes. These are deep boreholes. And you drill them to heights of, give or take, between 150, 120, all the way to 400, at times 500.
Meters or feet?
Meters. Right?
500 meters underground.
Deep. Yes.
That's very deep.
Yeah. Because, with AI today, and I've said this before, you can Google how many permanent rivers are there in any single county.
Yeah.
In mine, there's none. Our comes to the edge of the county, and that's where it kind of spreads. So when we have good rains, it's wet for like a month or maybe a month and a half or whatever. And it's like in a swamp, not really a river.
Yeah.
There are counties that have as many as 49 permanent rivers. So the water problems that I deal with are totally different from the water problem that Nyeri, for instance, deals with, by virtue of its proximity to other abadayas and whatever. So I drill boreholes, right? Those boreholes can sometimes collapse, right? You have to drill emergency boreholes. There are things called submersible pumps. They can fall inside, right? So we're dealing with different challenges and a different environment. Wajir County, that's not the biggest, it's the third biggest. So Marsabit and Turkana are much bigger. 25 of the smallest counties in landmass make up Wajir County. You can Google that.
25.
25. So you start from Mombasa, and you keep adding cumulatively, 25 of them make up
Wajir
County. So I have to provide services in that area, right? People are pastoralists. They move with their livestock from one place to the other. Of course, we're getting a lot more sedentary. We probably started with about 200 and something settlements, and you can know that even from the number of polling stations, how they've progressively been increasing. Now probably almost 800, if not more. But these are, dotted across
a large landmass.
A large landmass, the size of Burundi and Rwanda combined.
True.
And there are no roads, right? And with county government, you can do a couple of kilometers of tarmac within the main centers, and you can gravel those dirt roads, but you can't really use county money to do hundreds of kilometers of tarmac road. It's just not sufficient,
Across the county.
across the county. So these are the challenges that we're dealing with.
Agreed.
And people have also accused the MPs, and I wouldn't go into the details of mileages. I've never earned mileage. I've never been an MP. But growing up in Wajir, I knew there were always 3 secondary schools. Of course, I was lucky to have gotten admitted out of the county to a national school. But there were only 3 schools then. Wajir High School, which at one point was the only secondary school in the entire NFD. A school called Sabunle and Wajir Girls. So growing up, those are the only 3 secondary schools we had.
Okay.
The last I checked, there are 90 secondary schools in Wajir County today. And probably more in Garissa and Mandera. So it's not that we have no schools. Yeah. So this conversation
Right.
was getting back at the MPs and also trying to cleanse himself of a lot of the tribal rhetoric that he had been quoted
Right.
making
Right.
about Somalis, about how they're taking over Isli, about how they are buying out the inheritance of his community.
Right.
And when someone buys out your inheritance, it's by willing buyer, willing seller. There's no Somali community that comes together to say, can we buy the land of Kikuyu community or Maasai community? No.
Yeah.
It's individual by individual.
We have to go into a break, or you wanted to?
No.
Yeah.
I do have to go into the break, but I wanted to come back and say, can 2 truths be true at the same time? Which is the fact that there's been a lot of progress made, but there is money meant to be benefiting the people of Wajir, of Garissa, of Mandera, of this entire NFD as it used to be, that is not there, that is ending up in Nairobi and elsewhere in the world. But just hold on to that thought. We'll be right back after this. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV. We are in studio with Wajir Governor Ahmed Abdullahi. We'll be right back. Hiya.
Yeah, just before we get back into our conversation this morning with Ahmed Abdullahi, Chair, Council of Governors and Governor of Wajir County, a bit of feedback. Still, Mike Don is saying, yes, let's come on set and blame everything on Gachagua propaganda and historical injustices. Yeah. Then on the other hand, Francis Mweu says, we can lease land to foreign, he's talking about dividing money from the exchequer, from our NFD brothers and sisters. So he's just drawing a change and eventually saying 1 trillion is a lot and no change, although the governor did correct and say the figure of 1 trillion isn't something that his math is mathing to. And then Jeremy Mutuma says, I like the way the governor is explaining things, which, yes, he's given us that kind of context. But now I think even as we were going into the break, it's like, okay, now that you've set the context and kind of given those particulars, now we have to still go back and ask those questions about the gaps. And I think before the break, Mariam talked about the 2 truths. Yeah, so for me, I think what's been in my mind is, okay, so then what gives? Is it that a region perhaps that sometimes has issues around insecurity, etc., development, it's a difficult ground for development to take root if some of the fundamental issues are still shaky. So, Governor, I think as you've given us the context, which was really important, now let's go back to then why we still find 16 years later that certain counties are there's still many gaps. You've talked about an increase in schools, you've talked about access to medical health, all of which are extremely valid and important. Many will still say, has that been enough access to development for the people of Wajir and Mandera and Garissa? Many will say no. You might say it's not enough. So talk to us about what still gives with that gap, because by the end of this show, we're hoping to move to this is what it will take to make inclusion be a real thing, not just something on paper.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, I'll answer that question by still going back to what I said, that we've done more with development, whether CDF or county money, than the average county. I'll give you an example. In Mandera and Wajir, for instance, there are medical training colleges. They were built with county money. In the rest of Kenya, MTCs were built with national government
yeah.
money. Just one example. In Wajir County, I don't know about Mandera, there's a Huduma Center. Because I really followed through in my first time to get a Huduma Center, a one-stop shop. Because, replacement of IDs and, getting IDs was a big issue for me. And it wasn't coming fast enough. I built the Huduma Center and gave it to national government to run, and I put desks for my services. We've put up police stations with county money in those places to deal with insecurity. There was a time there was really protracted clan conflict in Mandera and Wajir between two clans. And we realized all we needed was to just have, police between, at the border of these two counties. And to date, there's GSU and RDU, Rapid Deployment Unit, in those police stations where we put up. We had similar conflict in Garissa. And I know the governor of Mandera and the governor of Garissa have done similar things. We've even put up bridges on Kenha roads when our entire sub-county is cut off. And there's one which I'm just supposed to go and open now. It's on a Kenha road. And I wrote to Kenha and I said, please, this is cutting off two sub-counties. So this then now brings me back to the question of our money actually stretches even beyond devolved
functions.
Things which other Kenyans take for
granted.
I want to ask that question. Why? Why, Governor? Why did you spend county money to perform national functions? Right?
Because,
there's a national government in existence. It's in place. And there's national government money coming to the county. In terms of how many constituencies do we have in Wajir?
Six.
Six CDFs. 6 CDFs.
Yes.
Could they have built the police stations? We have seen CDF building police stations. That's national government function. Could they have built Huduma centers? We have seen, we haven't seen many CDFs building Huduma centers, but it's a national government function.
Yes.
National government funding could have done that. Why didn't CDF build these facilities? Why did you take county money to build these facilities?
I'll give you even a more bizarre example as I answer that question. Between 2013 and 2016, in Uhuru's presidency, a decision was made to hire police vehicles from Toyota. And at the same time, a decision was made to fuel them at Total gas stations across the country. The last Total gas station going towards Turkana was at Kitale. And the last Total gas station going towards Mandera was at a place called Mwengi. Ukambani. And a police vehicle operating at the border, Kenyan-Ethiopian border, at a place called Bute, so at the headquarters of one of my sub-counties, was supposed to come and get fuel from Mwengi. Right? And drive back.
For context, that's over 1,000 kilometers.
Yes. And the one operating at the Sudan-Kenya border was supposed to come to Kitale and get fuel. So as governor, what do? We supported them with fuel for a very long time. And we kept raising that matter until one time Uhuru got irritated in summit and said, I have been, the governors have been raising this matter. How come you couldn't find an arrangement? Because someone sitting in OP then, took a policy decision without understanding the context of what's going on. So even what you're saying about those places, it's not that CDF didn't put up, probably CDF has put up a lot more security infrastructure. But in one day, 40 people were killed across that border. You can Google these things, they're all there. The Garre-Dogodia conflict in my county. And this was a spillover because of a conflict from the next county. So I had to make a decision. In fact, in that place, one of the places where I put up that police station, I came under fire myself with a group of leaders and elders. And that was covered in national news. And that's when I said, this has to stop. So at times, the common man down there doesn't really understand the difference between what a county function is
And a national.
a national government function. So we deal with a peculiar situation a lot more difficult than the average governor.
Very
The
true.
governor in a place in central Kenya, if he has to go and do a consultation with his neighbor governor, probably drives on a tarmac road for 10, 15 minutes to get to the other guy's office. I'll need a whole day probably to drive from Wajir County to Mandera. I'll have to get a chopper to fly to Mandera. That's the reality of the territory we're operating in.
Yep.
Having said that, I still insist. And by the way, my response to Rigathi when he said those things is, can you pick the average county, any county you want, and shilling for shilling, look at their equitable share, not how much more money they generate on the side in terms of on-source revenue. Because I'm not in a place where I can compete with Nairobi or Kiambu for on-source revenue.
Yeah.
But for the allocation that I get, compare the things that we have done with that money with what the average county or whichever county you've picked has done with it. And as chair of COG, I can tell you every single county has made a difference and has accelerated development in ways that we could not have done in 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get into now the two truths possibly being true at the same time, which is like what you've said, we've come a long, long way. It's also can be true that there's a lot of capital flight out of these three counties and the entire, ASAL and northern region of Kenya. A lot of it, so it's a mixture. It usually comes from a little bit of, what do you call it? Not xenophobia, I don't know how to explain it. But there's that, it's, every high rise you're seeing coming up in South Sea, it's Somali money, it's coming from the counties.
It's tribalism.
Yeah, it's, sorry?
Tribalism.
Yes, it's tribalism. Yeah, but then usually there's a little extra layer. That's why I'm like, I was looking for the other word. It's not just tribalism, but there's that. However, are there cases of county money making its way to Nairobi, elsewhere in the world as well? Like genuinely, as we look at what has been happening over the last 16 years of devolution.
You have to take that allegation with a pinch of salt, but I'll tell you about funds flow generally. Before devolution, when there's a lot of Somali investment, mostly through what is called profit and loss share schemes, people coming together and buying plots and building up apartments, it was attributed to piracy. There's a lot of talk that piracy money is finding its way into Kenya.
Yeah.
Then after these happenings in Minnesota, there's talk that, all the buildings in Nairobi and Parklands and whatever is as a result
dollars.
of whatever. Yet those particular ones have already been identified and are being followed through the U.S. mechanism of tracing assets and whatever, and these people have already been charged in court. Then now there's talk that, all this money is coming from counties. I want to tell you for free, among the biggest contractors, because I'm chair of council and I talk to all the governors, even in his own county are Somalis. Because Somalis are contractors. They are, people from central Kenya who've done contracts in northeastern. The other day I saw him accuse the governor of Mandera, as you said, that, and the governor came out and said, this matter is in court, I don't want to talk about it much, but this is building in land I bought from someone from central Kenya, that's what he said, before I became governor, and I gave it up for JV. Do you know, one of the biggest construction companies in Kenya was owned by the Gachagua family, the 888, which belonged to Nderitu Gachagua. And although the project had failed, just before I became governor, they had a very big sewage project in Wajir, right? So if it was okay for his brother, the late, who was a contractor, to become a governor, why does he have an issue with Mandera governor, who was a contractor before he became a governor, owning property? I think those are things that you have to take into context. It's when people, this is fiscal expenditure. This is government money that does projects. If Latif comes to my county and gets a road project and does the road project to satisfaction and ticks all the
boxes.
And it's certified and he's paid, wouldn't he make a decent profit? Right?
He would.
Where he takes the money,
That's his problem.
I'm not in control of it.
But after he's left, a visible project will be left.
Yes, a visible project will be left.
Okay, and I think that's where the questions are.
Yes, yes.
The questions that many people are asking.
Yeah.
There are those who are asking because they haven't visited
Yes.
any of these counties.
Yes,
They
yes.
haven't been ever.
Yes.
But they also have not consumed any content that shows this. There are people who haven't been to Addis Ababa, but they've seen content online
Yes.
of the development in Addis Ababa,
Yes.
the change in Addis Ababa,
Yes.
the airport in Addis Ababa. They haven't been there.
Right.
How many people have seen, content of, wow, this is Wajir. Look, apart from this is the Wajir governor's office,
Right.
or the Mandera governor's office,
Right.
which is a beautiful place on top of a hill. Those are the images that people see in Nairobi, Governor. We see the office of the governor. We see the office, the county assembly. Okay?
Right.
We see a big structure called a hospital. One. We don't see health facilities. We don't see schools. We don't see ECDs. We don't see children with backpacks walking to and from school. So that people will be like, well, actually, I haven't seen any of these things.
Yeah.
Right. I think these things are on the internet, but people, it's a nitpicky. You choose what it is you want. And I've actually seen a number of also young bloggers who've come out to even start posting schools.
Yes.
And say, it's your right to know. And they've started posting schools in all sub-counties, hospitals, wherever. These things are there. But coming to the question of funds flow, there are some realities that we must accept.
For example.
This whole issue of devolution space, the devolving of money and cascading that down to the grassroots, right, has brought a new breed of business people called tenderpreneurs, whether they're from Mount Kenya or from Northeastern, because there is a lot. Just take the housing project, for example, the affordable housing project. When government is building hundreds of thousands of units every single year, it's not using the military or the police to build those houses.
It's private sector.
It's private sector. So there'll be contractors, there'll be suppliers of materials, there'll be all manner of people who will make money out of government fiscal expenditure, right? And that development will be seen both in the county and Nairobi and its environs and the Mombasa and the likes also will have a feel of that, because for the average Kenyan from any quarter, whether you are from Masaini or from Busia or from Mandera, Nairobi is your headquarters, right? So why they come and build Nairobi or they buy houses in Nairobi out of money they have made, it's not a question any governor can answer. And these contractors don't make money only in their counties.
In their home counties.
In their home counties. Any contractor can make money anywhere. There's a question also of demographics. The demographics of the region is changing. Let's face it. Much as the census is rigged, and I'm saying this on national TV, there's even no proper count, I would say, of our people. Yes. And I'll give you a very basic example. Balambala constituency, and I'm sure you've had this before,
In Garissa County.
returned a census population of 32,000 against, is it 26 or 28,000 registered voters? Where does that happen in the world? Are you saying there are no kids who go to school in Balambala, that everybody is
Or were they imported voters?
Was a voter, right? You'll find, a constituency that registered maybe 3 times or 4 times, growth, or a county that registered 1 million growth or whatever, and another constituency where the population went down 2/3 or by half.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. There was no actual count of people in Northeastern.
Yeah.
All they did was household mapping, and then they averaged the number. You can't do those averages in Northeastern because you'll find a household with 10 people. Yeah. So the demographics is changing because of people becoming a lot more sedentary, because of the lifestyle and the culture, where there's still a lot of having a lot of kids and polygamy and all that. So, and that may not be said of another
of another region.
Of another region.
It's true,
so
Governor.
These are
all these
all
things
the realities
are contextual.
that
Money's spent on projects in these counties will not necessarily be banked and used there. It will be repatriated to other counties, most likely Nairobi, right? Higher potential for investment, higher potential for growth. Makes sense. But still, the question is, what has been left on the ground
a lot
when that money has been paid to the contractor? This is where the issue comes in, that money that should have been used to develop Wajir County, Mandera, Garissa, has been misappropriated and found its way to Nairobi.
Let's see, when were you last in Wajir?
Sorry?
When were you last in Wajir?
I haven't been to Wajir, actually.
You've never been?
I was in the border with Wajir, but I have not been to Wajir.
Right. You needed to have been there before devolution, and you need to have gone back now. And last year, I remember it was around when December thereabout. For instance, I hosted the Pastoralist Leadership Forum. This brings together all the MPs, senators, governors from across the South. And there are people who came there who'd never been to Wajir for the last, say, maybe 20, 30, 40 years, but knew the Wajir of yesteryears. Speaker Ole Kaparo, former Minister Malim Mohammed, and people like that who knew those places, but had not been there since devolution. And they were amazed with the transformation. They were like, they couldn't believe this is Wajir. And that's just the headquarters. And it doesn't mean that we work only in the headquarters. So when I say we've done more with this money than the average county, I can say we've done 50 kilometers, for instance, of standard tarmac road with equitable share money. I'm not sure there are many counties that have done
that. Can be able to say they've done that.
Of equitable, not the service dressing thing. Proper tarmac, right? And we've employed doctors. There was one single doctor in Wajir in 2013, and you've heard me say this before. I have 75 of them on my payroll now. We have consultants. Right?
A level 5 hospital.
We have a level 5 hospital. We have level 4 hospitals. We have. So this is what devolution is supposed to do. We are not anywhere where the average county is.
But you're getting there, and I get that.
That general hospital in regarding Gachagua's county was there.
It was the provincial hospital.
Provincial hospital built by national government before devolution.
With the resources.
With the resources.
With the resources. And I hear you on all the constraints, but I'm trying to look at some development indicators, for example, so that we can then see pre and post devolution, and then with the resources given, if this is, sufficient growth. Looking at poverty levels, and this is some different sources, including Marifa Center, studies that have been done over time. Pre-devolution, about 84% poverty level. Right now, about 61.7. That's 16 years. Do you think
81 to
84 to 61.7?
That's not good according to you?
It is good. It's good. I'm just saying. Let's go through. Let's go through them. On healthcare, again, yes. For example, Wajir with now 75 doctors. You said 75, right? This one says 74. Level 5 hospital.
And this is from Marifa. Marifa is actually a publication that the county, the Council of Governors.
Yes. There's also Marifa and Kenya News Agency as well. Then there's formal education seems to have stagnated around, especially for women, because it's 22% for women pre-devolution, and now 34.6%. I don't know. I think we could be doing a lot better with some of those numbers. Water and infrastructure. That one. I'm not getting so before there was basically almost zero data on water and infrastructure. Post devolution now, budgetary allocations, yes, but a very small percentage still have piped water. Still very scanty information. Yes. So I'm trying to look at those. So healthcare seems to be a good indicator. Education seems to be almost stagnated for women, and water and infrastructure, again, no solid data. So I'm struggling to be able to say, have we
made any progress?
Have we made any progress?
Yeah,
but that's just
it's coming up to a break, and then wondering whether where to see that progress is happening and needs more time. Vis-a-vis, not enough has happened.
Right.
For some of them, where to your point, indicators were not even there before. I'm also just trying to reconcile. I hear what the governor is saying, and somebody else over here is also saying, if the governor thinks if you've never been to Wajir, you don't know anything. Devolution opened up our country, so show us your work. It's Kenyans' tax money. But then you've just said, our work is there. If you go online, you'll see it. I don't know where the disconnect is. Is it just me who... I'm trying to reconcile what governor is saying.
Yeah.
Also him saying it's there, it shows. And also trying to wrap my head around, but it's still not enough. But according to whose lens?
I'm not worried about a lot of the comments that come through in social media. Because
come a bit closer to the mic.
You know, there's a lot of negative vibe in this. In this country generally. I can tell you that for free. You know, there's a lot of negative vibe.
Can we get into it after the break, Governor?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can we hold on to that? Because I think it's a valid point you're raising. Yeah. But we'll come back. We have the governor for another hour, Ahmed Abdullahi, Chair, Council of Governors, and the governor of Wajir County. We're having a conversation around a large number of issues, but largely looking at North Kenya, marginalization, equalization, and more questions. We'll have more of those questions in just a moment. It's coming up to 8 a.m. We'll be back in just a moment.
Yeah.
As we come back to the conversation, Governor, many comments and questions are also coming in. Abdullahi Korane Jr. says, how will the leaders be held accountable to ensure promises made to Northern Kenya are actually delivered? Nicholas Sr., why are these leaders investing in Nairobi and not in Wajir? If it's a Dubai, as he alludes. And then David Ondieki says, let's discuss the issues, right? The person who's raising the issue is can be a conversation, but the issue being discussed, can we focus on it? Governor, tell us, how many working schools you have built as your county? What's happening to them? Simple. Don't answer questions by Gachagua this, Gachagua that.
He did, however, tell us that.
Yeah, he talked about the school that he's built so far.
Yeah.
Are there investment opportunities in the north? Yeah. Why are people then not investing there?
Okay.
Another one here, ask the governor, for instance, how many hospitals in Wajir, how many schools, how many households have connection to the grid, how many boreholes per ward, taking into account this growing population, are these basic needs sufficient for the number of people or households? Right?
That's a good question.
Are we at that level where we are saying that we are actually addressing the needs of our people?
Right. And then a last one, Mariam, can you ask him about basic water and drought? Why build a road before setting the core first? And I think because there was also no indicators on water, but I know he spoke about the boreholes, but maybe even outside of Wajir. But go ahead.
Very good. I think a couple of people asking decent questions. Now, let me get back to what I said about schools. First of all, the only education that is devolved is early childhood education and village polytechnics. Right?
Yep.
We started in my county, for instance, ECD from scratch, literally. And this was probably across Kenya, because save for a few municipalities, there were no nursery school teachers paid by government. Today, in the payroll of county governments, there's over 40,000 ECD teachers. So this whole concept of formalizing ECD, having a scheme of service, having ECD schools, was as a result of devolution. And in places like mine, I told you how I went to school, and had to be told, can you touch your other end of the year? So now we have 300 ECD centers. Some of these centers are model schools, an entire ECD school. Others are classrooms within a primary school. We have over 600 ECD teachers. We provide meals. The other day I was launching, you probably saw that on national TV, meals for ECD schools, right? Fortified porridge to just get them back to school, especially during drought. These things do happen on the ground. As for boreholes, when you have a territory the size of, as I said, Burundi and Rwanda, even the geological formation within that territory is different. There are places where we get water when we drill much easier than in other places. But we have hundreds of ponds, earth ponds and dams we've invested in. We've bought tractors and excavators to desilt our ponds. We also contract them sometimes to do the same. It's just that when seasons are either too depressed or they fail, one season fails, the other season fails, it is normal for the ponds to dry up. It's also normal for the yield of the boreholes to go down. Even in Nairobi during drought, the borehole yield goes down. But from 82 boreholes to 401 in a span of give or take 13 years, I believe we have done relatively
Let's look
well.
at this image that we are seeing here, Governor. Just hold on, Governor. Just look at this image, right? So what's happening here? What do we call this? Do we call this a water pan, a water hole?
First of all, I know where that place is. And this is a place where it has rained and, you know, as I said, these people are also on the move.
Yeah.
Even after you've done 400 boreholes, there's still people out there, and it's not any different from Masaini here, that when it rains, they're on the move, and there's some water trap somewhere by the roadside, and they will try and
so
fill
that's
them.
where they try and fetch.
That is part of what it is. People have asked us about the drought, but before the drought, the grid. Connection to the national grid is not a devolved function, right? There are things we can do with respect to electricity. Put some solar panel, right, for dispensaries or for water points and for our other installations. But the national grid, I mean, that's Ketraco's work. And Kenjan, KPLC. And so we don't raise this because sometimes we get a lot of bashing, especially during hot seasons like now, right? And with Ramadan approaching, we are on single, diesel-powered generation in our big towns. And these are things we have raised. We raise them in meetings. We write formal letters. We say, look here, you cannot attract investment when there's no power, right? And it is not a devolved function. With respect to the drought, droughts come and go. Our people, on the one hand, are extremely, extremely wealthy when you look at the livestock holding. When I came into office this time round, there was very severe drought around 2002, followed by the floods, I think that 2023. But it was a much even severer drought than we had now. It was really bad because for like 5-6 seasons, the rains had completely failed. And a lot of livestock was wiped out. But we've had a couple of good seasons since. And restocking happens over the good season. And at times, we go over the carrying capacity of our land. The estimates I have from my livestock department, for instance, is that we have about 6 to 7 million sheep and goats in Wajir now. 6 to 7 million. What we need as a country is more planning, better planning rather, for these drought situations. right? Because they will come, with climate change and everything. And what do I mean? Give people an outlet for this livestock. Part of the problem has been disease control, because we are unable to, in a big way, sell our livestock, say, to the Middle East or to the EU like Botswana does. Why? Because there's no standard, disease control. You go to Botswana, and we've actually taken people there to see how it's been done.
Yeah.
You need a license to keep livestock. You need a certificate. And they follow that goat or that cow and account for it just like a human being. It's tagged with a chip. The data is kept centrally by government. The breed, where you bought it, which farm it was at, and when it was last vaccinated, and all that. And this gives them access to markets.
Big markets, yeah.
Yeah. When the president came up with this plan of mass vaccination, we started saying, it was Bill Gates who was forcing him to do this because of climate change and all.
Yeah.
So a lot of this livestock, if it doesn't rain in the next, give or take, 60 days, it's likely to be lost.
So what are you
So
doing
that
about
I
that,
was-
by the way?
yeah, that was
I'm
gonna be
coming
my
to that,
next-
yeah, I'm coming to that.
The resilience planning.
And the resilience
and
planning.
not just for Wajir, but for all of these northeastern counties.
Yes.
From devolution onwards, we are 13, if you even take away before the election, let's say we're 13 years into devolution. What has been done for resilience planning around climate change? Because yes, the communities have been pastoralists since time immemorial.
Yeah, there's quite some need for behavioral change. First of all, it's not only in northeastern counties. If livestock is going to die, it's also going to die elsewhere.
Yeah.
Even in Masaini and a lot of places, the drought continues. And we've seen in the past in Baringo, in Samburu, and all manner of places.
Yeah.
In the Asals, right? Just the way we think of strategic food reserves, it's probably time to think of national strategic livestock feed reserves. Because our livestock keeping, largely thus far, has been very extractive in a sense. Because when it rains, you just move around with the livestock, where there's pasture, and then you take it to the next watering point, right? And it's got to do with, massive change in terms of land tenure systems, trying to sedentarize people. People who argue for pastoralism will tell you it's a lot more cheaper and a lot more productive from a cost-benefit analysis in good times. Danger is in bad times, you end up losing everything.
All the gains.
So for us, what are we trying to do? First of all, we have reduced the distance to water. Because the drought problem is largely also a water problem. When we tell you we now have 400 boreholes, of course we know they're not evenly distributed even within counties. Why? Because of the rock.
The water table.
The water table. In some places it makes more sense to do a lot more ponds and dams than, because when you drill, you hit a rock. In others it's easier to do boreholes. But the distance to the watering point has reduced, And where there is still dry pasture, we track water. In my county today, we are tracking water to 177 sites. In spite of having 400 boreholes. We are strengthening, livestock interventions and veterinary. Veterinary services are much closer to people than they were. So all these things add up. But the point that I'm trying to make really is, going forward, because that advantage of the lower establishment cost structure has been lost because of what has already been done, because of the hospitals, because of the ECDs.
Yeah.
We have a cost base just like any other county, and we have tried to get the services to where other counties are, right? Development, serious development in these areas will not come from devolution, much more than it will do for other counties.
From other areas.
Yeah.
let's, before you even
Because,
go
and this is
into
why
that,
I keep asking, what has the average county done with devolved money that we have not
and it's
done?
a fair question.
Yeah.
I'm still a bit on the resilience planning,
Yeah.
because again, 13 years into devolution,
Yeah.
are we future-proofing these counties? Are we making it so that, yes, the rains will come and go, they may fail, drought, floods, it's a cycle that we can try and
Will
predict.
happen.
Yeah, it's a cycle that will happen. We can try and predict when, but who knows? So what is the resilience planning that has gone? And I'm thinking, even beyond just yourself as governor, these three counties, between Mandera, between Garissa, between Wajir, how are you future-proofing your counties from drought and from floods and from all these things? Also understanding that your people are pastoralists, how are you, what did I say?
Collaborating.
Yes, collaborating, and also just making sure that development works for the pastoral lifestyle. And you've talked a little bit about bringing, the water, etc. But let me start with the resilience and then adjusting for the pastoral lifestyles when doing this development planning.
All right, there's a lot of discussions now and attempts to try and introduce feedlot system.
What's
Right.
that? Okay, what's a feedlot system?
Feedlot system is basically cultivated pasture, right? Which during dry periods or during drought, then you can give the livestock access to. There was a plan, I think some 2 years back, which probably is, still on course, but not as fast as we would have appreciated, to have one feedlot center in every ASAL ward. And there are 1,000, I think, I don't know how many there were. Is it 450 or so? Yeah, ASAL wards. And it's been piloted in some places. One such place where it's been piloted and is in a ward called Arbajahan ward at a place called Griftu, where the pan has actually been done, but we're hoping it rains and captures water, about 1 million litre of water in a pan. And then everyone comes together. The county government, irrigation, special programs, everyone does something to set up that feedlot. And the PS for irrigation was with me there some time back. I don't know they saw it on the news. So this is, and there are also people trying to do this at their own level, private sector, planting this, it's called what, chungao grass or something, this Chinese grass, and trying to look for hardier grass, but it's not to scale. So probably that needs done to scale. Last night I was on TV with the Minister for Public Service, under whom comes, the NYS, and they're saying they want to use NYS land to also do pasture cultivation, moving towards strategic feed reserves, just the way we're talking of strategic food reserves. There are discussions we are having, and with Calro, Kefish, AFA, to introduce hardier crops for alternative livelihoods. We believe that dates, for instance, can do well in most of our counties. We have now gotten to a point where we have somewhat convinced the ministry to support dates the way they support avocados, for instance, right? From a propagation standpoint. So there's all these things happening. It's just that drought doesn't warn you, and it doesn't warn you sufficiently, and the old habits still die hard. For this one, by the way, generally they say the short rains are easier to predict than the long rains. And there was some prediction that's going to be depressed, right?
Yeah.
And we have even been running radio programs to tell people, look here, it's not going to go well. Can you try and offload? But again, it's like telling somebody to sell your rental house, right? So it's not that easy from a cultural perspective.
Yeah.
So these things are all there, but generally we have not given livestock value chain as much thought as we have, say, tea, coffee, pyrethrum, and the like. It's been largely extractive. It's been largely individual effort. It's been large, and by the way,
that's up to the county governments to do, I think.
By the way, Had it not been for the county governments, had it not been for the intervention of county governments, directly and indirectly, What do I mean by indirectly? Today in Wajir County, there is as many as over 100 private water bowsers. Because there are also people who keep livestock and who can afford to have their own
water.
track their own water to where their livestock is. And they're massive, livestock owners. They hold 1,000 cows or whatever. I believe that is part of the inherent or inbuilt resilience that counties have created. That first of all, because of that fiscal expenditure, there are people who can afford to buy vehicles. Bowsers can transport their livestock from one point to the other. But as county also, we run bowsers and track water to those that can't actually afford, to centers that can't actually afford. That's not to say that we can, we're giving it to everyone. There are those who can afford. Even the food we distribute. Now Ramadan is coming. And as part of resilience, we're going to distribute food to those that cannot afford. And this happens everywhere in the world. Even in the US, their kitchens, what are they called? Soup kitchens or whatever. Yeah, to help people. So when disaster strikes, we have to make it lighter for the people at the bottom of the pyramid. But as a result of counties, a lot more people are able to help themselves today than we had
13 years ago.
13 years ago.
Governor,
These are facts that can be.
I hear everything that you're saying, Governor, and I'll come to the money question, because you're saying it's not $1 trillion, so how much is it? And we can do the math shortly.
Do the numbers.
We'll do the numbers with you shortly. But I'm also feeling, much as effort has been made, now this is not just to say governors from the Somali counties, let's just call it what it is, the Somali counties of Kenya.
That's how it's been put.
Right?
There's a lot
it is about devolution as a whole.
Somaliphobia.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier.
There's Somaliphobia.
Yeah, this is Somaliphobia.
There's the question of these marginalized counties, all of them, even going into the arid and semi-arid counties actually of the country, and looking at the lifestyles of the people in these counties. And the governors, you all, their leaders have caucuses. You hosted one such caucus last year. What are these leaders doing to improve the average lifestyle and livelihood of their people, beyond going for the physical infrastructure that all of us are used to? So all of us will go for this thing that people can see, brick and mortar. But you know that you're coming from an area where there's a shortage of brick and mortar, but at the same time, there's a depressed livelihood because of how people are living.
Yes.
I've listened to you saying there have been conversations here and there, and what I felt bad about is that it did not sound like this concerted effort by the leaders of these ASAL areas to actually come together and say, what do we do? Okay. I am sure, I have not talked to them, but I am sure Calro has research and solutions for pasture, for drought resistance pasture, with the support of people like Food and Agriculture Organization, right, and others, and ILRI, International Livestock Research Institute, and others. I'm sure they've got that data. Have these leaders actually engaged with such data? Have these leaders sat down and said, let's map it out to help our people? And forget the politics, forget the rivalry, clan, forget the rivalry among tribes, the Somalis versus the Boranas on the other side versus the Turkanas. It doesn't matter. It is all of us together. I have not heard such conversations taking place. And for me, when I come to asking the question of devolution, is I feel that the leaders are focusing on other brick and mortar issues, which is where you're going to spend money and you'll have a contractor, and this contractor is going to give you a kickback and you'll go and invest in Dubai. Versus whether you're actually going to put up a feedlot to serve the people.
Going into a break.
Right. So,
But it's break time. Think about that.
It's a good place to go into a break.
the break time came at a very unfair time.
Oh, no. Well, it literally will. It will be just a few minutes, and we'll be back for you to respond to that. Ahmed Abdullahi, Chair, Council of Governors, Governor Wajir County. You'll come back and respond to that question in a bit. There's also a lot of feedback, and people can also call in. Yes, Mariam, the number 071903858. I know Governor had said, don't listen to were you dismissing what people say on social media? Some of the questions are valid. So when you answer Eric, you can come back and also just respond to one or two of them. We'll be back after this break. It's coming up to 8:30.
Yes.
Kesha asubuhi na mapema.
Yes.
We're coming back to the conversation. I know just before the break, the governor was like, give me a chance to reply. So Eric had asked your question. The only reason I want to read this is because at the back of our minds, I think this is something I'd also want you to speak to. Ben Chakala 1807 says, ultimately, Mr. Governor, are you suggesting that the Northern Frontier counties are oversimplified by reports focusing solely on matters like terrorism and ignoring its complex social, economic, and political landscape? I think it's at the back of my mind, I think that's what I'd been trying to ask is there a lens that people have? Because he's spent an hour and a half literally saying this is what we've done, this is how we've built. People are still like, we've not seen. We can't see.
Where is it?
So I think as you answer Eric's question, at some point speak to that, and also just speak to maybe how you'd want to appeal to the rest of the country. Because even Mariam, you mentioned there's subliminal and sometimes very obvious profiling and tribalism and xenophobia, which can perpetuate people feeling excluded. So I don't know how the rest of the country, you have to understand that the more you perpetuate a certain narrative, the more people of a region are like, I guess I'm not included and I'm not part of. So at some point you'll just appeal to that. But first we can start with the question that Eric asked.
So my question was, do these governors really care for the people? Or do they care for, points on the board, right? Optics. Because if people really were getting the service, and especially these pastoralists, and they were, this huge, we have a lot of livestock in this country.
Right.
In fact, Kenya has one of the largest herds of livestock in Africa. And where are they? In these ASAL counties.
Yeah.
But where's the value for that? Do we actually talk about the money? If these governors had taken last 13 years to think how we can convert this into money, the people of Northeastern would be the ones who are talking about how their life has changed. We'd be seeing buildings coming up in Nairobi and knowing this is so-and-so who's a big livestock farmer, this one is sells hides and skin, this one has started a shoe factory, this one has done this and the other. You see, the ordinary citizen of Wajir, of Mandera, of Garissa, of Isiolo, of Marsabit, of Turkana.
Eric, first of all, as for the buildings, unless you do a count of them and you get to know who it is, probably they are.
Of course.
So,
it's true.
because Somalis are traders and they trade in everything.
Definitely.
But there's a fundamental question that you asked of maybe, and I think that's where the conversation is heading. We have done what we thought we needed to do at the time. We felt that, look here, we have no rivers, we're dependent on boreholes, our borehole cover is thin, let's drill boreholes. Reduce distances to water. We then realized that, look here, we don't have sufficient dispensaries, let's put up dispensaries. And fix the brick and mortar. If we didn't have the brick and mortar, if we didn't have the schools, if we didn't have the hospitals, if we didn't have the water points, you will actually be saying then, on the other hand, that yes, everything Gachagua said is also
true.
I'll have no defense here. So, and that was needed, right? But now we need serious policy shifts. And this is where I said that we have not given commercialization of livestock as much thought as we have given commercialization of crop agriculture.
Yeah.
The subsistence is still required because this is the livelihood that we knew from our forefathers, right? But it's now time to shift the paradigm to say, how do we then get into commercial livestock farming. Efforts have been made and are still being made. And our World Bank program, for instance, which gave money to KDC, Kenya Development Corporation, the idea was to interest business people from across these ASAL counties to actually set up businesses around the livestock value chain. All right? But governmental processes and usually take a bit of time, so I may not have the exact figures of how much has been disbursed.
Right.
We've even tried things to do with livestock insurance. Generally, insurance uptake in this country is pretty low.
Yeah.
At about 3%, I think 2.3 to 3%, 3% thereabout. But it's even lower for people from those counties because of cultural, religious issues where we don't have a lot of long-term orientation. Tunaamini riziki inatoka kwa Mungu, in a sense. So telling someone to insure your livestock because of drought and all that, when they know that their forefathers went through droughts, went through good seasons, so all these things are being tried. But what we need to do two things. Number one, and I think the thinking and the conversation is ripe. And even from a policy perspective, because I believe the tone at the top changes everything, the president is saying all the right things. When he says that, look here, we will have this infrastructure bond, we'll put this 5 trillion together, and part of what we'll use this up for is to commercialize, the dry land agriculture, the likes of Galana, Kulalu, mega dams in places where there were none. And these are conversations that we need, opening up this country through infrastructure, roads, pulling the grid to every part of this country. Those are the things that will, first of all, help us commercialize livestock. And then what I said about these now feed reserves, the thinking that we can actually do large-scale pasture cultivation. What I said about introducing drought-resistant crops such as dates and olives. Yeah. And by the way, this is something I'm personally working on with AFA, Kefis Kalro, and the ministry. And the minister and his team have been very, very supportive. I went to Morocco once. We're going back again now with this entire team. Because California set up dates like 10 years ago. Now they're among the largest exporters of
dates.
So these conversations are there. But it will also come with a little bit of behavioral change. We'll go through some turbulence about community land, right? Because when we tell people about community land, and they'll tell us, look at what's happening to the Maasai, they're selling all their land. The land, So these fears are also palpable. Culture, yeah. They're there, you can see them. So these are the things that we need to do. And, it's not that the leaders have not been talking about this. And when the president came to my place for that pastoral leadership forum, he launched the Kenya Livestock Marketing Council as a parastatal with a board. And it's not been sufficiently funded, but it's one of those things that can actually help us move from subsistence to commercialization.
Right.
But that said, Latif, this whole conversation, and this is those that don't want me to talk about Rigathi Gachagua must accept that it came as a result of statements that he made, and he was deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, right? He was the overseer of the devolved system on behalf of the president. Because there's no devolution minister, he was the de facto
he was
minister, right?
The State Department for Devolution was under him.
Yes, and we will go and have conversations with him, and he will tell us things like hata nichapa matako hakuna pesa nitaongezea and the likes. And now all of a sudden he's being celebrated as the paragon of piety and virtue, who is brought up issues in northern Kenya, he's the same guy who's telling us
On the other hand,
that,
he's
Nuruddin
actually
should-
talking from a point of information because he has interacted with Devolution
It's not true.
closely.
One of the
as
lies,
chair
one of the
IBEC.
lies, and I put this on Twitter. I asked him which day and which part of my county did he ever visit as deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. The only place where I shared a platform with him in the entire Northeast was one time when with the UN, at the height of that serious drought, and we just came in, went to a place called Ma'alimin in Garissa for a UN appeal for drought interventions.
Okay.
Right? That's the only place I ever shared a platform with him outside of his offices by virtue of my role in the leadership of council. So it's not true. Some of the things he said are lies.
So the governor, it's valid when you say that you read politics with the statements coming from Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
Okay? But some people who were born and raised or even have family in Wajir and Mandera and Garissa and Isiolo have also joined this conversation and said, but we need to ask that question. One of them is Senior Counsel Ahmed Abdullahi. He's from your county.
Right. No, he's from Mandera.
He's from Mandera.
Yeah, he's from the region, yes.
Okay. Politically, he says he doesn't agree, he doesn't see eye to eye with the many of the things that Rigathi says, but on this particular one, he agrees. He says corrupt leaders who steal from the poor people of northern Kenya play an equally important role in the underdevelopment of the region. Since 2013, over $1 trillion shillings was allocated through devolution funds, CDF funds, donor funds, and grants from the central government to the northern counties. A forensic audit will sadly show that 90% of these funds were wasted and misappropriated. Unfortunately, in Kenya, thieves are revered and not prosecuted. He even puts it there in parentheses. Can you believe that according to a report released by the EACC, Marsabit is the least corrupt country in Kenya? Can anyone even take EACC seriously? Instead of fighting corruption, it's laundering it. That's why Gachagua's intervention is welcome. I plead with Gachagua to take the fight against corrupt leaders of North Kenya to the next level. We need a national convention on the quandary facing the people of the North and the role their political leaders played in their plight. We need a national kamukunji on where the 1 trillion shillings allocated to the northeastern counties has gone to. Has it been invested in Nairobi, in Dubai, etc.? What's the record of EACC in fighting corruption?
I'll not address Ahmed Nasir on national TV. He's a personal friend.
It's not him you're addressing, it's the issue that he's raising publicly.
And I've had these conversations with him, and with respect to the defenses the leaders have, I don't hold brief for all the leaders. I'm just speaking to the facts. And Ahmed can get quite passionate about what he believes in, right or wrong. But there are also a lot of leaders of stature who also say, no, you are unfairly bashing these leaders.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Just the other day, I was sent a clip from one of the major mosques in this town where the acting chief Ghadi, in his last Friday, someone was addressing this matter. And he actually said, look here, guys, we have seen, what you're doing to our leaders, trolling them on social media about fair leadership and everything. But yes, we have challenges, but it's not what you're saying it is. And he actually comes from Wajir. And he said, I come from Wajir. The Wajir of yesteryears before the revolution is not the Wajir.
Okay.
And I can also give you clips where Ahmed Nasir was also praising the work that I've done in Wajir. Yes.
And don't doubt it. Let me just take a small tangent, because earlier when you were talking about some of what's happened, the president, for example, launching the Kenya Livestock Marketing Council. Yes. Then he's made several visits to northeastern Kenya. One big pronouncement was, for example, removing the requirement for vetting for IDs. It brought me into the thinking of what has been happening for the people of Northeastern as far as bringing that sense of belonging and also dealing with security issues. Now, one way to look at the removal of the vetting is for that exact purpose. The other way, and let me pose this as a question, is how do you protect essentially the Somali community from being used, or these goodies being weaponized or whatever, as a bargaining chip, as a voter. Yeah. You understand my question?
I understand your question. Yeah. Just the same way you will protect the Maasai across the Tanzania-Kenya border from being used for the same, right? What has been removed is not the standard vetting that everybody goes through to obtain an identity card. What the president removed is the discriminatory layers of vetting for people from border communities, which was again selectively applied more to the Somali community. And this speaks to the very issues that I started with, of the question of embracing NFD as being an integral part of Kenya, 60 years plus after independence, right? That because of being from that side, looking slightly different, you are still not embraced as though you are from here. If you look at the map of Kenya, on the east side, border of Somalia and Kenya, it's a straight line. It's actually a couple of straight lines. It's a diagonal line and a straight line.
Yeah.
This was not making of the people of Northeastern. This was the map of Kenya that we all find ourselves in. So how does someone, because they hail from here at the center, or here, or down here, feel more Kenyan than me because I come closer to this line? 60 years down the road. I think this is what the president was trying to address.
My question is on the politicization.
The people that do the vetting.
Yeah.
There is intelligence on the ground.
Yes.
Right? There are chiefs on the ground. There is even our own ethnically mobilized politics, which at times trickles down to the sub clan, right? Will not allow mass movement of people across the border to come into Kenya to register as voters.
But my pushback is not on necessarily the move, because trust me, I understand everything you're saying. The vetting is problematic. It did target Somalis indiscriminately and a lot of other border communities as well. My question is, how do we ensure that the moves like this, whether it's removal of vetting, whether these are not political moves, so and so, to kind of co-opt the community or to move it in a certain direction, as opposed to it being a move for actual change and inclusion for the people of Northeastern?
Actually, what the president did were promises that he made when he was campaigning for the presidency, and standing right beside him then was his then deputy presidential candidate, Rigathi Gachagua. And those clips are available, where he talked about this unfair discrimination. So I believe that if Rigathi was also to be true to his manifesto then, he would do the same thing. But in our politics, everything that gets you votes, right? Everything that works for you for that day goes. That's really what it is, basically.
Okay.
We're almost at time. Oh, you had No.
I wanted to ask this one of the money, because we need to clear this.
Let's do the numbers. Let's do the numbers.
So let's start with equitable share going to counties. How much is coming to Wajir County this year?
As of today, about 10 billion equitable share. Okay. But you remember we started with about 5 billion. So you take your average, whatever average. Because you've been around for 8.
An average of 8 billion for Wajir.
Yes.
Times 13 years?
Yes. We're into the 13th year now, so but you just say 13 years by the end of this year? 104.
104.
Yeah.
Let's say that is the average per county for the 3 counties.
Yes.
So times 3 counties.
That's about 300 billion.
It's about 300 billion shillings. In terms of CDF, the CDF for this year is about 100 million per constituency. There are 6 constituencies in each of these counties.
18 constituencies.
18 constituencies in total. Times 100 billion.
1.8
billion times 13.
13 years. What is that like?
It's going to be around the same. Another.
No, it can be.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's not 1 point. Okay, let me do that.
What your mathematic?
A copy
FCPA.
1.8
it is 23.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So around 24 billion.
Yeah, just say even 25.
Okay, 25 billion plus.
So 325.
So 325
Yeah.
from equitable share and CDF.
Yeah.
And then there
Bit
is
of equalization.
equalization fund that comes in.
Yeah.
Let's add in now national government projects that have come to the area. Let's add what in the last 13 years? You had about another 100?
I don't know. I can't guess that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But just
let's
give or
estimate.
take. Yeah, just
Okay.
take a number.
So we are at over half a trillion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then he was also talking about now other support that,
Yes.
that comes in
From non-governmental.
from non-governmental organizations, from how much would we say money has actually gone into
Right.
Northeastern,
Right.
both from directly from government
Yes.
and indirectly through.
So that's give or take, maybe even add another 100. We are 325. Even add another 200 from national government and all. I'm not sure I don't think there's a lot of national government projects now, save for this major road. But just for argument's sake, that's half a billion, half a trillion.
Half a trillion shillings.
Let's look at the budget for Kenya during that time. Yeah, take a number. We're now at 4.2 trillion.
Yep.
Yeah. So
We
let's
started
We
at about when Huru started, they started at about 3,
Oh, okay.
3.4.
so let's
I
take
think.
3.5 for argument's sake.
Yeah.
Times 13 years. Do the numbers for me.
A lot of money. But I want to
No,
focus.
just wait.
The question
I'll do
is,
something.
the question Ahmed Nasir is
I
asking.
know where you are headed with the argument.
So
I
let me
also know where I'm headed
So
with
let me
mine.
take it.
Ah, yeah,
The question Ahmed Nasir had asked.
45 trillion.
Yeah.
So it's 500 billion out of 45 trillion for a region that was neglected for over 60 years.
Yes.
And I have explained what that 500, and even if you were to put slightly more, has done in terms of giving us the same number of hospital facilities like everyone else, the same number of healthcare workers, more water points, much as we can't, bring the rivers by force, we can't shift barriers, right? All this, I think, justifies 500 billion out of 45.5 trillion. In the 10 years of Uhuru presidency, the public debt moved from 1.6 trillion
To 11.
to 11 trillion. How much of that found its way into Northern Kenya with these numbers, right? So it's not what people are putting it. And of course, our politics, by the way, when Gachagua made that statement, and I was trying to defend it and I say, look here, because I wasn't emotional about it. I might have been tough talking, but I said, we have done more with this money than the average county. And I said, pick a county and show me. I even said, extrapolate the figures. That means if I'm getting slightly more, compare their share with my share. Of course, and people were nitpicky, like one guy would say, and yes, he wasn't, he was lying about this, but he was true about this. And another would say, and I saw an interesting one where the guy said, and Gachagua was right with respect to devolve money, but he was wrong with respect to CDF. And I think that's all nonsense, And the facts speak for themselves. That is not to say that these counties do not have the average problems that an average county in Kenya has.
Because
if it's West, it's the average West. If it's corruption, it's the average corruption that they have.
But if it's implementation, it's above average. Okay, we're wrapping up. We have maybe a minute or so.
I think I've made my case.
What is going forward, right? What then is the fix for getting these counties at par with, let's say, the most developed regions of the country, given all these constraints that you've given us and the opportunities that you've given us?
Take more investments to above the railway line.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where the
Potential is now.
potential is now. It is, depending on who you speak to, 2/3 or 75% of Kenya. So we're saying it's not only those three counties. The three counties of the Somalis, I think the same could have been said by Gachagua about Turkana, but he's saying that about Somalis because of his phobia for Somalis. But he could have said the same about Marsabit or even Somburu or West Pokot or wherever, or Baringo. Take development to above the railway line. Open up this country. Open up this country. Take the grid to Mandera, to Marsabit, to Turkana. Take roads to those places. Yes.
All right.
Someone was saying, oh, Egypt is as dry as northern Kenya. Why is it? Because Egypt is all dry and they don't discriminate between high potential and low potential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there.
Yeah.
We didn't talk. I know you asked a little bit about the belonging question for IDs, but I really wanted to get that appeal to the rest of the country about discrimination. But thank you for mentioning it.
And you know, I just want to say one thing.
In 30 seconds,
Yes.
Governor, if you can. Yeah.
Demographically, even with all the shenanigans that go around with fudging numbers for the census, the Somalis are the 6th largest tribe in Kenya. We are part and parcel of this country. It's time the Rigathis of today appreciate that we are not in 1963.
Okay.
We're not seceding anywhere. We are here to stay.
All right.
And we're not guests.
We're not guests, you're part of the country.
Yes.
Ahmed Abdullahi, Chair, Council of Governors, Governor, Wajir County. Thank you for joining us for the last few hours. In the next hour, Femicide and GBV, the pain and the solutions. We'll be hosting Dr. Nancy Baraza, the National Chairperson for the GBV Technical Working Group, to talk about the report that was launched yesterday and presented to the President. It's coming up to 9 a.m.